Hello there guys, Feng here, and welcome to Adventure Manager. Okie dokie then, so Adventure Manager is a hybrid RPG and management simulation game. It's actually pretty damn cool. Now, I found this by just browsing through the Steam simulation section, and what was really weird is that I somehow missed it. It's actually currently on Steam Early Access, and I just missed it. I have no idea how I missed it, but I missed it. And I decided, I'm going to grab it, I'm going to have a play with it and see what it's like. And I'm pretty pleasantly surprised. Now, bearing in mind, of course, this is in alpha, so there's still going to be features missing, there's still going to be bugs and all that bollocks that you all know by now. But it's got an awful lot of depth for a RPG simulation game. It's got an awful lot of depth. There isn't really many around of the genre. In fact, the latest one that I did the first impressions of not so long back was RPG Tycoon, which plays more like Endgame Dev Tycoon than anything else, which is a bit unfortunate. Anyway, let's crack on. So, I would love to show you an options menu. Unfortunately, the options menu is actually in-game, so I can't show you just yet. There is also a separate launcher, and that's like, the same kind of launcher you see in most Unity games. You can change your window mode, you can change your display size, and also your input keys as well. So, yeah. Right, I'm going to crack on now. Unfortunately, I was actually going to start a fresh game, just to show you all the basics, but unfortunately the game doesn't support multi-saves just yet. All it supports is one save, and of course you can delete a save. Since I'm already played about 4 or 5 hours of the game, I don't really want to just delete it like that. So, we're going to continue from where I've been playing on. So, let's crack on, shall we? The game has got a bit of a... It's got a bit of humour, as you can probably tell just then. Pretty funny. The graphic style isn't the best, but it does bring back a bit of nostalgia from a lot of the old JRPGs, which is really nice. Okay, there's a lot on screen. So, this is it. You're the Lord of the Kingdom. Your mother and father got killed by some twat, and you want to go and try and take revenge on this said twat. But to do that, you need to manage your kingdom by hiring adventurers and getting them to go on quests, etc, etc. Now, there's quite a lot of management stuff to do, but there's also quite a lot of actual dungeon crawling, which is kind of cool. And you can do both at the same time, which is really cool. So, as you can see, I'm level 9. I've got a very tiny amount of gold. I'll just save the data. These are global bonuses. Now, these you can get from upgrading your castle, which I'll go through in a bit. When you first start the game, you can also select gender as well as your portrait, which is really cool. As you can see, I have my beard and moustache, as I do, amongst other things. Now, let me actually show you how you go about getting an adventure and getting a party going. So, the first thing you'll need is to actually hire heroes. Now, in each kind of like little city, so this is the human city, you will find this dude here, and if you click on said dude, you can actually hire an adventurer. Now, when you first start, only these first 4 will be unlocked. You need to get more points with that particular faction before you can actually get to the next tier and then the last tier. You also won't have this available to you. This is only really available because obviously I've managed to get my points to pretty high with the humaner, but as you've probably noticed, I haven't really touched any of the others just yet. Now, from what I can tell, there's not too much difference between hiring just one particular race than hiring a lot, except for maybe some bonuses that you can get whilst you're doing an adventure, which is actually pretty cool. The old adventure kind of gameplay is pretty cool. Okay, so I'm just going to show you what I've got currently. So I've actually got 8 party members at the moment. Now, each party will consist of 4 members. So I'm actually just going to show you this here. So what we're going to do is, these adventures here are automated. These ones will just carry on while you're doing other stuff, which is a really cool concept. You can have up to 4 going at once, which is really cool. Which means that you need 16 to be able to do all these. So let's go ahead and do one. So I'm going to go ahead and pick level 3 one. Yeah. Get our Gadzooks. I am Yesley, the potato researcher. Please go to the cave and attack the 167 houses. Yeah. I will slap you with a wrench as a reward. Yes, indeed. So this is the party formation screen. Now there's a lot of stuff to take in. It kind of like the traditional RPGs. Your front line will usually be your tanks and melee characters, whereas the back line will probably be your healer and damage dealers, your ranged damage dealers. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with having a few. We're going to have a tank. So I've got a tank here called Doc. He's a really pretty good tank. I think I should be able to. Nope. Okay, I might not be able to actually. Where's the? I actually don't know. I actually don't know where the. I'm pretty sure you could. Alright, never mind. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm just gonna put him there. So that's my tank. That's my warrior. And then I'm gonna go ahead and stick my Death Knight onto the next one. Death Knights are pretty good. Death Knights do a decent amount of damage and they can off tank as well, which is really cool. I'm then going to have my cleric, one of my clerics. So we're going to have a level 7 cleric here. The cleric, of course, will go ahead and heal as well as other stuff. And then we're going to get our arbalest, which is a ranged dude that focuses on armor piercing, which is really cool. Now, when you've actually selected all your party, you'll get an assessment of the actual adventure. So as you can see, the risk is going to be a snooze fest. It's going to be really piss easy fun, really. Recommended gear score is 3, and our average gear score of our party is 3. There's also a few other bonuses. Now, if I just click on here, you can see that all these are humans. That's racist. They will all get a max HP bonus. Double date, because we've got 2 males and females. There'll be an even bigger. There'll be a 2% damage bonus and a crit chance as well. And there's all these other ones as well. Obviously, I'm going to assume that most of these are going to be kind of race centered, as well as possibly class centered as well. As you can probably tell, all our drits, wisdom damage bonus. I'm going to assume that might be something to do with maybe all casters, amongst other things. This is actually a really cool system. Depending on how you get your party, you will get bonuses, and especially going to be fun just to try and figure out which works best. And you can also see the auto adventure stats. So as you can see, the speed will be 20%, stability 105, recovery, protection, trap protection, etc, etc. You'll only get these when you're doing auto adventures. And you can also save this formation if you really want to. So that's actually not that bad of an idea. Let's go ahead and do that now. I'm actually going to save it on this one. There we go. And then you can just load it up whenever you want, which is really cool. So we're going to go. And now they're doing their stuff. So this will actually run in real time. So every now and again, they'll go in battle. And they'll use up some energy. So I think it's endurance it comes under. Not energy. Energy is actually like your MP in traditional RPGs. Your endurance is how long you can go before you start basically getting tired, and once you get to 0, the combat effectiveness diminishes by quite a bit. You will have to now and again make them rest in an inn, which is right here. I think it's pretty much in any kind of town. As you can see, some of our other parties actually still resting from our last expedition. But yeah, as you can see, you got 4 different slots. Royal. If your party members are in here, then they'll actually rest a lot quicker than in Lord, Trader, and then obviously Beggar. That's going to be the worst regeneration rate. It's pretty cool. You can also upgrade your inn, but we don't have the money to do that. We definitely don't have the money to do that. There's also a shop. There's usually a shop in each town. You can buy armor, weapons. You can also gamble to try and get decent, good gear. the actual gear system is very reminiscent to that of Diablo. You'll get different qualities of gear. You'll get common, uncommon, rare, legendary. Am I right in thinking that? Is that, yeah? Then legendary, and then you'll get unique, and then mythical. Mythical being the rarest to get. Uniques are pretty cool as well. Uniques are usually dropped by boss monsters in dungeons. Just bear in mind that auto dungeons will not get you those kind of things. The only thing you can get, the best thing you can get, is legendary. But actually doing it manually, doing a dungeon manually, will actually can get you uniques and mythicals as well. So let's get to our castle and let's show you some of the other things you can do. So castle upgrades. Now when you first start, you will only have access to two oh god, I'm having a blonde moment here. These things, yeah, these wooden things here, yeah, you know what I mean. So yeah, the first upgrade will only cost 100, and you can upgrade quite a lot of stuff. As you can see, my first upgrade was actually a stash size. You start off with 50 stash. So any items that you get from adventures will go towards this stash, whether it's in your castle stash or in your active inventory. It all adds up. And also there's other things like 10% gold find. These are global as well, so these will affect everything, as you can probably tell. 10% magic find, so I've got 10% more a chance of finding magical items, and 5% university training cost, which we'll go through a bit later. Now the really cool concept of this is that every upgrade will actually take real time. So it will. The first upgrade will probably take about what was it, about a minute? I can't quite remember, but it's quite slow. But I think the last upgrade I did took about 15 minutes to actually do in real time. So you know there is that element of waiting for your stuff to be built, which is pretty cool. Now this is the quest hub. Now each town will have a separate quest hub. This is the very first one. This is the very first quest you get, clear the cave. Now I have actually got one complaint so far about the game as it is currently. When you first start, you can only really do this quest with your manual party. And unfortunately the actual levels are not randomly generated. So what will happen is you'll know where to go. That can get really tedious. That's the only thing that really concerns me at the moment, is that it gets very tedious once you know where you're going. So for example, this particular cave, I know where to go straight for the first chest, and I know where to go to get to the bosses. You know, it's a bit bad really, because it does say in the store description that there is random generation levels, but it doesn't seem to be. I mean, I might actually be wrong on that account. I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that yet. But it would be nice to see some kind of random generation. The enemies are randomly generated, which of course is nice, but it'd still be nice to have the actual level layout somewhat randomly generated, especially since you'll be doing this one until at least level 5 or 6, and once you've got some decent gear, which it does take a while to kind of grind that. That's my only concern at the moment with it. We've also got a forge. There is crafting in the game. Crafting is fairly basic, but it can be useful. So what you need to do is any type of item. So as you can see, you've got common, uncommon, rare, and legendary. You can actually break down into parts. So for example, I'm just going to do it with these, okay? Now, when you salvage these, you'll see that sometimes you'll find gems, a shattered emerald, for example. So we'll carry on. These ones will not actually let you right-click. You'll have to right-click them to put them over the pot and then salvage them. That's just a safety precaution, just in case you accidentally press it, which is really nice, really nice indeed. So we're going to do that, like so. And as you can see, we've got all our materials here now. Obviously, if we were to make, say, a ring, for example. So let's make a ring, because I know if quite a few of my adventures actually do need a ring. We can change what the rarity is. We can also change... no, we can't change the name. Damn, I thought we could change the name. You can change what rarity it is. So as you can see, that will be common, that will be uncommon, rare, and legendary, etc. So what we can do now is we can put in some optional gems. Now that shattered gem that we got previously, we can actually stick in there if we really wanted to. So a shattered bloodstone would actually give us +1 to 9 strength. Yeah, it's a range, so you might not necessarily get it. It also I think it also increases the eye level of the item as well, so you need to bear that in mind. So I'm just going to make a simple. I'm actually going to make a dexterity based ring. So there we go. I can also put in a second optional one if I want. I don't think you put the same crystal in. No, it has to be a different crystal. So let's make one with Constitution because that's your health. Okay, and then we'll forge. And then there we go. So as you can see, this one has turned into a legendary jagged ring. It's got 6 dexterity, 6 constitution, 2% hit chance, 3% crit chance, and 2% reflect damage. That is actually quite a nice ring. Not too bad at all. It actually gives a gear score of 5 even though the eye level is 3, so that's pretty cool. And as you can see, you can actually level up your blacksmith by doing this. So that's actually really nice. It's got a level. I'm not too sure what the levels actually do. I don't know if they upgrade into anything. Maybe give you more recipes. It might, but I haven't noticed just yet. Well, it's only she's only a level 2 anyway, so it's not really spoiled. I don't know if it's a she or he. I think it's a she. I'm sure it is. Either way, we've now got a nice ring, so I'm going to equip that to my where's my herbalist gone? Well, that herbalist has gone in there, so let's get some over herbalist. Yeah, there we go. I might put herbalista. Sorry, not herbalist. So there we go. We'll stick that in there. And while we're here, I can actually show you some of the character customization. So this is my tank. This is Jeff. He's a tank. As you can see, he's got a decent amount of armor, decent amount of mitigation, decent amount of HP. He's also got a decent amount of block chance and amongst other stuff. Really cool. So, as I said earlier on, the actual loot system is Diablo-esque. We've got a few unique items here. We've got Feng's fur coat and the King Blade. Really, really nice. Life on it and stuff like that. Really nice kind of stats. Rings seem to be pretty rare, but you can wear 2 of them, which is really nice. We've got a necklace, helmet, armor slot, and also some characters can dual wield. Some characters can also carry 2-handed weapons. So, for example, my Airblester can carry a 2-handed longbow. Be really useful, especially since he's ranged. So, there we go. Now, each level that these gain, you can put 5 stat points into their stats. So each stat will affect different things. So strength will increase weapon damage when using a melee weapon, increased chance to parry, dexterity, weapon damage with a bow, increased chance to dodge attacks, constitution, etc, etc. So for my Airblester, who's got 10 points remaining, I'm going to stick a few index and focus, because focus increases critical chance. And there we go. Now if you really want to, you can actually respec, which is a really nice option. I don't think it costs anything to respec. No, it doesn't. So I'm just going to put my skills back into where they were. Blah, blah, blah. There we go. Stick them more in focus, and then everything else in dex. Okay, so each particular class has a preferred stat. Well, 2 preferred stats. And you can see this in the skills. So if we go to the skills, we can see this is the skill tree. While it's somewhat basic, it has got quite a lot of depth and meaning. So as you can see here, we've got branch 1. Branch 1 usually focuses on damage. Branch 2 normally focuses on defensive or CC orientated abilities. Branch 3 normally has a single target buff and a overall target buff, but an all party buff. But some obviously don't like this one. For example, this one's actually got a self buff, but also a debuff, an enemy debuff. So that's quite cool. So what I'm going to do is I've got 2 skill points left. I'm going to focus on more armor penetration. There we go. So we've got 9% armor penetration, which is really cool. I don't think there's a max to any ranking up on this, but look of it. But you do need to put points into your skills, depending on your level. So Obviously, you can't put points into magic aim until you're level 5. Same with arcane annihilation, you can't put anything in that until you're level 10, etc, etc. Okie dokie, so that's basically the basis of that. Let me show you some of the other skills actually. So the warrior has got a few damage skills, not particularly useful since, you know, the warrior doesn't really my particular warrior doesn't really focus on damage, you focus on tanking. So we've got a taunt which will basically increase threat with enemies, so the enemy is more likely to attack my tank. And we've got wall as well to reduce the damage received, which goes well with taunt. And then of course we've got some passives that increases armor, strength and constitution. Of course that's pretty basic, you know, increase weapon damage, increase health, tanky abilities basically, tanky stats, really nice. And then we've got our mage who actually needs to put some more points in. Let's put some with intelligence and focus. And as you can see, I've got mine centered around fire because it deals quite a lot of damage as well as some dot. But you can also go with ice, which is more CC orientated, which will decrease threat and increase energy costs of the enemy skills, etc, etc. And of course you've got some really nice passives that really boost DPS, which is really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and stick on spell power. Okie dokie, so that's kind of our view of the stats, how things work, etc, etc. Let me just stick some whiz in there. There we go. Since you've got one extra, I might stick one more in mine, the healing, so you can actually heal more. There you go. Brilliant. So, shall we actually get into a battle now? That seems like a cracking idea. I've been talking non-stop for ages, and now it's time to actually get into an adventure. I'm not going to go in that one because that one I've done too many times. Let's go into the next one. Clear the crypt. This is the second type of manual dungeon you'll be able to do. So, you'll be able to have access to. So, let's go on to this. Now, as you can see, the recommended gear score should be 7, but we don't have anywhere near 7, but we should be okay. So I'm going to go with putting my warrior at the front as well as my cleric, and then we'll go ahead and put my ballista and my mage right there. Okie dokie. So you can actually choose two different types. You can go for normal, which you can see is going to be a snooze fest, or heroic, which will be simple slaughter, which actually has a recommended gear score of 9, which we do not have. But fuck it, we're going to go with it. Make it a challenge. So, this is the battle screen. Yeah? This is your map, although you won't be able to have access to this all the time. You'll be able to click on this particular one, and then it will come up. Okay, so you kind of move... The movement's a bit odd. Let's just say this, right? So, for example, as you can see, the only way we can go here is south. So, we need to go south, which is what we're going to do. There we go. But you move forward to go south. Okay, oh, okay, now there's some sound. Okie dokie. Brilliant. I don't know if I remember, I don't remember if I actually mentioned this at the start. The sound, there isn't that much sound effects in the game yet. Obviously, there's only really the battle sound effects. But there is music, but I had to turn it off because obviously YouTube being YouTube. So here we're just going to go with attacking. So there we go, we'll attack. Same with the cleric, may as well get some attacks in. That might be a wee bit loud, which is unfortunate. I'll have to sort that out in a bit. Let's go ahead and cast some flame. Lots of damage. And we can go ahead and just normal attack the spider. There we go. Brilliant. Okay, now we don't need to heal just yet, although our gen could do with healing possibly, so let's go with that. There we go. Now as you can see, normal attacking doesn't really cost any energy. In fact, you gain energy. It's a bit weird how it's displayed though. As you can see, you'd think that, seeing that, you'd possibly gain flame 30 energy, because obviously it says -10 to the attack there, but it's actually the opposite way around. It costs 30 to cast that, and you actually gain 10 energy from doing a normal attack. So yeah, it's a bit weird how that's displayed. Hopefully they'll sort that out a bit later on down the line. So there we go. Pretty simple and straightforward for an RPG, you know, turn-based. It can get... Did I just fizzle that then? Jesus. That's the first time I've seen that. I fizzled an attack. Wow. Brilliant. So it's kind of fairly generic in the sense, you know, there's not too much going on, but that's to be expected with turn-based RPGs anyway, you know. Okie dokie, so let's heal Jeff up. There we go. Now, I haven't really bothered to use any of my taunts yet because there's no need. There's only really need to do that when we're on a boss. So now, as you can see, after the battle, you will get loot. Loot is obviously randomly generated, depending on what you are. Now, Heroic does have the advantage of giving you higher level gear, as well as actually rolling more legendaries and basically the more rare stuff, which is always nice. Now, in between, when you're actually on this screen, you can actually equip. It doesn't cost anything to equip. So let's see if this is better than my other. I don't think it will be. Probably not. No, it's not. But I did get a few level ups, so I may as well use the time to level up my stuff, like so. There we go. I don't know why I put Constitution in there, but oh, we got access to Meteor Swarm. That's enemy party one. Yes, please. Ha 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 ha. Sweet. Let's go ahead and focus and Dex. Let's stick. I'm actually going to stick Dexterity. I haven't really been leveling intelligence on the Diablo-esque because, well, the only two abilities that I'm actually planning on using derives from weapon damage, which is Dex based, not spell power based, which is what intelligence derives off. So, yeah, a bit weird that. But nonetheless, it's pretty cool. That should still be in my... That should be in my stash, but for some reason it's not. God knows. Okay, my Cleric. Oh, we might have the Greater Eel now, which is going to be absolutely superb. Sweet. He'll target Adventurer for a lot. There are other classes, and I'll probably go through them in a bit once we carry on through this. You can also rest. Resting will heal the HP of the party, like so. But you can be ambushed while you're investing, so bear that in mind. Okie dokie. Now, as you can see, the primary objective of this particular dungeon is to kill Zombie Lord, but if you do these second objectives, it will give you a lot more loot and a lot more gold. And as you can see, we've actually found some gold. That's quite a lot of gold, to be quite honest. Really nice. Now then, we've come across a junction. Wow. So we can go north, east or south. Now, I've already played this dungeon a few times, so I know where to go to get to the sub-bosses, so that's what I'm going to do now. Very loud. I apologise if it is too loud. Very difficult to try and find the volume levels for this. Really, really hard indeed. Oh, okay, let's go for Meteor Storm. Oh yes, I like that skill. That's a nice skill. Well, it costs a lot though. It does cost a fair bit. So as you probably noticed as well, obviously the melee dude can only really attack the front line, whereas obviously the range ones like the Cleric and the, well, all the other range basically can actually attack any one of them there, so that's pretty cool. Cleric doesn't do that much damage, so let's go ahead and finish that one off since it's already low. I'll go ahead and Flame Pellet the back one. There we go. Now, some of these encounters will have different affixes on them. So as you can see, Energy Vampire. So these will actually leech energy off me when they attack, and they'll gain it themselves, which is kind of cool. It is randomised as well, so sometimes you can get some fairly decent ones like Energy Vampire. I know it's not that big of a deal, but you might come across normal Vampire as well, which they will actually leech health off you, which can be a problem, especially for some of the boss battles. You can also get really, really bad ones as well, like dodge, and they'll have an increased chance to dodge, and yeah, if you haven't got a very good hit ratio, then yeah, you're going to get dodged quite a bit. But it's cool that there is that randomness there, you know, it's much appreciated that there is that randomness there, especially since the levels themselves aren't randomly generated. Okay, let's go north, and we found a chest, yay! Is there anything decent? Oh, that shield might be an upgrade. Possibly. Strength, wisdom. No, that won't be an upgrade, unfortunately. They're mainly Cleric shields by the look of it, which is a shame. Okie dokie, so here's the Will of the Wisp. Okie dokie, so let's taunt the Will of the Wisp. get him to attack my tank. And then I think I'm going to bless my mage at this point. There we go, that's going to give me a bit more attack and stuff. Let's go for a magic. So I'll kind of do with that. There we go. Let's meteor all of them. Oh yes. I like that. I really like that ability. It's a nice ability. Now, from what I can tell, it doesn't seem like you can increase energy very easily. I don't know if you're going to be able to in the university. I haven't showed you that yet, but I'll probably show you that in a bit once we've finished this. And then we'll probably have to... This is going to be a very long episode by the look of it. So, yeah. But there's a lot to do. There is a lot to do, so... It just makes sense. There we go. Okay, okay. What we got nice from the Will of the Wisp? Ooh, okay. A dagger of faculty. Wisdom, intelligence, constitution. We have a shattered diamond. We also have 2 legendaries. Ooh, that one's a nice one. That one's actually a really nice one. Crikey. And we've got a nice ring. Wisdom, dexterity, constitution. We've got some decent upgrades there. Let me see if any of them actually need the upgrade. Wisdom, dex, constitution. Actually, that'll probably be you more than anything, wouldn't it? Wisdom, dex, constitution. Dexterity, constitution. It's actually better than the one I've made, but that one's actually better, so let's go for that one. Oh, fuck's sake. The equipping system for the rings is a bit weird, as well as dual wheel, because you have to click on the slot and then click on the thing that you want to equip. It's a bit clunky, and I'm hoping that click to drag might be better. I don't think you can actually do that. No, you can't click to drag into a slot, which is unfortunate, really, but I'm hoping maybe they'll sort that out later on down the line. Okay, all my warrior leveled up. Sweet. Now we get access to the big one. The Great Taunt. Taunt enemy party for lots of threat and reduce their armor for 3 rounds. That is major. Absolutely major. Now it's going to make my tanking jobs a hell of a lot easier. It means I can do it on small groups as well. Large groups as well, I should say. I probably should have rested, but never mind. It doesn't matter at this point. Are we lost? No, we're not. We're fine. We're fine. Yeah, so we need to go back. We're going to go south this time. Oh god. Okay, so let's use Great Taunt. Oh yes. Liking that a lot. Okay, let's go for a magic Charlie thingy majig. Let's go for Great Heal on Jeff. Oh, that's a nice amount of heal. Let's go for Meteor. Show. Oh yes. This is actually a wee bit too easy now. There is a mode that you can pick out which makes the game a lot more roguelike-y. You can actually have it so that if your adventurers die, then they stay dead for good. You can't resurrect them. Now, you can resurrect dead adventurers in the normal mode, but it does cost quite a lot. And to be quite honest, money is quite hard to come by. Money is a valuable resource in this game, for the time being. I mean, I've played like 4 or 5 hours in. Money seems really important for a lot of stuff, especially upgrades. But training as well in university does require a lot of money. So, we're going to carry on. We're going to probably go for Pantless the Mighty, which is right here. Pantless the Mighty. Pantsless the Mighty. And as you can see, he's got no pants on. Oh dear. How rude. Let's stab him with a sharp stick. Okay, let's use Great Rage. There we go. Let's use a Meteor Shower. Sweet. As you can see, these are parrying, so it's going to be a lot harder to kill, which could be problematic. But at least they're focusing Jeff now, which is great. There we go. I'm actually going to use Wall with that. That's a great combination, using that and Wall. Another Meteor Shower just to get them more lower. There we go. Now I'm going to attack the cave spider. That should kill it. There we go. Magic missile on that one. There we go. I'm just going to attack the cave spider. Jeff. Okie dokie. Lena can just use fireball. There we go. And then we'll use Great Heal on Jeff. Sweet. Now it's just a case of tank and spank. Really? Since everyone's out of bloody energy, tank and spank. There we go. Come on. Come on. There we go. Sweet. Let's see what we got nice from that. Wow, really? A load of crap. Oh well. Never mind. What's that one? Let me hover over it. That might be an upgrade for my cleric, actually. Let me double check that. It might be an upgrade. It looks like an upgrade. It doesn't have any wisdom, which is unfortunate. Oh, it's got magic find. It's got 10% magic find. Jesus Christ! I mean, I've got that on basically one of my castle upgrades. That's quite major. Jesus, I'll definitely take that. I don't mind losing a few heal points if it's going to get me more magical stuff. I'll definitely say yes to that. Okay, let's go east. So we're going to go toward the zombie lord. Okay. Another thing as well I've noticed is that this game is extremely optimised. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not graphically intensive or anything like that, as you can clearly tell, but it is well optimised. I haven't had one crash as of yet, which is really nice. I've had one bug where if you start a cave, if you start an adventure, manual adventure, the screen will just basically not show the map. So you can't move and you can't do anything, but it is easy. All you need to do then is just exit the game, which you can do, and then go back in, and then you can start from where you finish, which is really nice, actually. It's really nice. But yeah, that's the only bug I've really come across so far. As I say, it's pretty stable, and it will run on toaster. It will run on a toaster, which is always nice, especially for people that have got toasters. Right, let's crack on with this. Now, these are quite high level, so this one might take a wee bit of a while. Let's go for just shower. Now, as you can probably tell, there's only really 5 skill slots, so I can see you might not necessarily need all 5 skill slots, you know, especially if you're something like a tank who only really wants threat generation and damage mitigation. Same with clerics, really. If all you want to do is heal and maybe bless, I'm actually going to bless that. There we go. Then yeah, you know, it's probably not. You probably don't need all 5 slots. But for people that want to use as many images as they really want, then I suppose that could be somewhat limiting. But it seems okay to me. 5 seems reasonable to me at the moment. I haven't had no need for more than 4 skills, so yeah. But we'll see. Okay, I'm going to have to do a normal fireball, and I'm not going to waste on that one. I'll do on that one. Oh, they're magic resistance. That might explain why as well. I didn't look at that. Because I'm a dumbass like that and don't look at stuff like that. So yeah, looks like we need to focus on just normal attacks, but rather than magical. There we go. Ooh, that reflected back at me. What a bastard. Now, the one thing that I'm interested in, I don't know whether it's going to impact it, is can you speed up the basically the manual adventures? Could you turn it onto auto? I mean, obviously you can't do that yet, but I'm wondering if you could. I mean, at the end of the day, it would be the same as you've got, you know, with the auto adventures, but maybe you just get less loot or less experience. You know, it's just something to bear in mind. Would be nice, but I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. It's just that this particular bit could get a bit tedious. That's me. It's my only worry really. The game so far, that it could be tedious. I mean, it was definitely tedious doing the cave over and over and over and over again. But then again, you know, if you play a lot of action RPGs like I do, then, you know, it's not going to matter because you're used to repetitiveness anyway. There we go. Sweet. What we got nice? Ooh, crap. Crap and crap. Crap. Never mind, let's carry on. We should be close to the zombie lord now. Okay, so sometimes you'll get random events as well. So, as you can see, if you briefly pause and think about life after love, what do? Do you ignore it or forget about it? Let's forget about it. But we found some gold, yeah. It doesn't make sense why you find gold or find treasure chests or get into battles sometimes, but it's funny. Okay, we're pretty close now. We are pretty close. I probably should have shown the cave ring. The cave is a lot more quicker, but I actually want to show you something that was somewhat challenging. If you get what I mean. Let's do a greater taunt actually. And do a biggie. Oh, let's do a meteor shower first. There we go. Greater reel. There we go. Some more attacks. Just bear in mind though, there are a lot of classes to the game, and each class does something differently. You know, then there isn't no duplicate of classes. They each do something differently, which is really nice. Especially even though 4 seems limited for the actual party, considering I think there's 13 classes. You can obviously also mix and match for the auto ones, so you know that's actually pretty cool. Now, now going east is going to give me a campsite, so let's use the campsite. There we go, and now we're fully vested, which now means that we should be on our way to the zombie lord, which should be just north of here. Okay, maybe the next one. Right, let's just go ahead and do this. Greater taunt, magic stuff. Pew pew. That's a thought. Actually, I've just realised something. I have actually got access to the options menu here. I'm just going to turn the sound down. Oops. Sorry. I actually forgot about that. I forgot you could still access the options menu via the when you do. I mean, it does make sense to do though, I guess. But sometimes don't. Some games you actually have to be in the map screen to be able to access the options, which is a bit silly. So I'm really liking the flexibility of that. There we go. And that's pretty much done. Now I know the next one is probably going to be the zombie lord, so we are going to go ahead and rest. We didn't get ambushed, which is really nice. And now let's go to the final battle. Zombie lord. Let's go for greater taunt. That's going to decrease their defenses. That's great. So we're going to snipe zombie lord for a little bit of damage. Bosses can be pretty difficult. Now, the first boss you come across can be extremely difficult depending on your setup. There is regen in the game, so sometimes you know enemies will regenerate life per turn, just like you do. But yeah, sometimes it can be pretty daunting. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Means you got to think about your tactics and your party setup. But you know, that's the whole point of simulation games, making you think. You know, so what's the best kind of setup? I've certainly found the traditional tank healer DPS setup to be probably the better one, obviously, due to the being able to taunt and you know take hits and then the healer healing that. You know, that's pretty standard stuff, really. But you don't have to. That's the great thing about the game. You don't have to go a tank healer DPS. You know, the Holy Trinity. You don't have to do that. There's nothing stopping you from having a off tank like the Dead Knight up front, and a off healer like the Paladin up front as well. You know, there's nothing stopping you from doing that and having 2 DPSs and doing even more damage. Okay, you might not be able to tank more hits, but you might be able to kill them quicker. You know, that might be a decent setup as well. Great thing, but then if you wanted, you could have 4 bloody clerics and they could all be healing each other. You know, you probably won't get very far, but it's possible. And here we go. We managed to kill him in heroic, and ooh, 2 legs. Okay, is that a unique? That's a unique zombie shield. Sweet. That it could be an upgrade for Jeff. I think that is an upgrade for Jeff. Holy shit. That might even be an upgrade for some people as well. This ring, intelligence and strength, that would be good for the Death Knight. Death Knight derives strength and intelligence, so that'll be a nice upgrade for him. Wisdom, intelligence, dexterity, that's not the best stats. That one is a slightly better one because of the crit damage, but not by much. Okay, okay. So let me just quickly equip my Let me see. Strength, focus, life on hit chance. I don't really need a life on it on my back row really, unless they get really damaged. Crit damage, or I'll go for that one. Screw it. I can always equip my other bless with the other bow, so that's not a big deal. And what was that one? That was from a Death Knight, which I haven't got on me at the moment. Alright, so once you're finished in the dungeon, you can then just teleport out. And then you get all your stuff. Then you go to the quest board and hand the quest in, and it will give you lots of stuff. It will give you experience for your... It'll give you experience for your actual lord, as well as experience for the party. And of course money, which is sweet. Apparently we've done this one as well. Oh no, I haven't done it yet. Search the ruin key to find the elf. I need to do that next. I need to find out what the gear level for that is. Anyway, here's the other ones. So you got barbarian, monk, paladin, ranger, rogue, warlock, shaman, death knight, enchanter. Now, what would be nice is if we had the ability to check what each did, you know, just maybe right click or something and just check the stats and stuff like that. That'd be pretty cool. But as of now, if you don't know what to do, you actually have to hire them anyway. As you can see though, the cost to hire is 0, so it's probably worthwhile just checking them out by hiring. So no, that's pretty cool. Okay, okay. The last thing I want to go through is the university. The university is pretty cool. You can train anyone. So, well, anyone that's active anyway. So let's go, for example, for Jeff, one of our tanks. There's a few things you can train them in. You can train them in ranged courses. You can train them in melee courses, which is melee weapons. You can train them to be better in melee in general, or for certain weapons. You can also give them other stuff like triple attack, double attack, parry. But if you look, you can actually see that these do cost time and will cost money as well once we actually get to that point. You can also do... Oh, we don't that one. We can also do shields as well. You can do armor. You can make the armor even better depending if you've got that type of armor equipped, amongst other things. Placeholders, yeah, these aren't quite in yet, so that's quite obvious it is in alpha. Base attribute courses you can increase as well, which I suppose would be really nice, especially stuff like crit chance and crit damage for DPS and dodge and max endurance for tanks. Be really cool. And then you've got this one, which is all the adventuring stuff. You can allow the training and adventuring bonuses, and then you'll get stuff like quicker auto adventuring speed, better gold find chances, magic find chances, etc, etc. So there's a lot, and I mean a lot of choice. So much choice that there's probably too much. No, there's not. It's just perfect. So I'm sorry if this is a really lengthy video. I didn't mean it to be, but you know what, I'm really excited about the game, and it's looking really good. And the only thing, as I've said, I've already expressed some concerns I have with the game at the moment, but other than that, it's in a good shape. It is really in depth, and it's just going to be a massive time sink. It really is. So, okay then guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.